Nina, I'll sort that for you. Bye bye, bye bye. That was a good shot to took.
Why did you come here today?
Just to make a point that reading government press statements off an autocue is not news, it's propaganda. Fact. Simple as that.
How far did you come today?
From Carlow.
From Carlow.
Yeah.
I just said, sir, do you mind if I ask you why you came here today?
I came here to see what these people here are talking about. I came here to put out fires that the RTE is given to the water people in North, so that's what I'm here for. Yeah.
And where did you come from today, sir?
I came from Carlow.
From Carlow as well?
Right, yeah.
Alright, nice one, cheers.
Yeah, I came here today, I said, because RTE and the media in general are biased against peaceful protesters. They're just writing down lies about us, that's total and utter lies. We're all totally peaceful and we're all against water meters and general austerity, and that's all we want. So RTE, you need to make a mark and tell them we've had enough, we can't take it anymore.
Free to fire! 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 1, 2, 3, 4! We won't take it anymore! 4, 6, 7, 8! Open up the prison gate! People power!
No way!
We won't wait!
No way!
We won't wait!
No way!
We won't wait!
We say fight back! We say fight back! We say fight back! This is called people power!
Protecting them, eh?
Adoption! Poverty! Poverty!
Very unfortunate that we have to come to our national broadcaster to protest for the truth. And I'd like to thank the people that organised this. They're just ordinary people just like you and I. And they've gone to all this trouble to organise it. So give them a big round of applause there. Now we pay very dearly in our licence fees for what goes on in here. And it's just simply not good enough. The ordinary working classes are not represented. We're attacked in there, we're vilified, and we're made to look small. When the Kenny gets a cosy love in, Bertie Ahern gets a love in. But I just want to make this one point here before I let the speakers on. During the bin tax we were told the polluter pays, because we're the polluters. All that packaging that we got that we didn't want, we're the polluters. Now we have the water tax, and we're told very clearly that we're the users, and we should pay for that. Well, RTE should go pay-per-view, and let's see who paid to view it. Now what we have here in RTE, with the likes of Brian Dobson and people like that, are what they call prostitutes. The people that will read out anything. They've no moral conscience, they've no ethics. They're not journalists. And what they will do is they'll misrepresent the truth, as you saw in Jobstown, as you saw with Derek Bourne, as you saw with our people that's jailed. Now lastly, I'll just finish by saying this and I'll call the first speaker. In order to have a true, vibrant and proper democracy, we must have a media that represents the truth. And RTE does not do that for us. I'm going to hand you over to Angus here. He's going to say a few words.
Children too, citizens of the world, good afternoon, and I thank you for your attendance here today. Corporate control, state control. Since its inception, the televised section of RTE has had its chairman and executive board appointed by a variety of government ministries. At present, the Director General is internally elected by the formerly mentioned government appointees. The supervision of RTE is regulated by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland, who are also selected by nomination of the Government Minister and the Oireachtas Committee for Energy and Natural Resources. These are the same past and present governments who have betrayed society on this island by way of selling off our natural resources, i.e. the Kinsale gas field, the Corrib gas field. We have been told by our elected representatives that we are not financially nor are we intellectually capable of harvesting these resources for the benefit of all the people on the island. Some of these ministers have taken up careers with the very corporations that they handed our resources to. What it appears we are dealing with now are elected representatives taking decisions and forming social policy at the behest of multinational corporations, bondholders and the European Union. The only interest any of those groups have is in their own statistics, balance sheets and profit margins. The human cost of all this greed has been allowed to evaporate, and our individual identity has been eroded from that of the citizen to a consumer. Statistics for Ireland Incorporated, for them to manipulate and deceive, from us our meagre finances for them to relieve. The National Public Service broadcaster has long been engaging in censorship, going back as far as the 60s, in particular Section 31 of the Broadcasting Authority Act and its various amendments, which have been used by various ministers to stifle open debate, and they promote a blinkered and one-sided state view of how society should think and behave. Regardless of how unpleasant the views and the opinions of the censored people may be, the government wants to prevent us from forming views and opinions of our own based on inclusive and balanced reporting of the news, current affairs and economics. The tired old classic cliche of the Irish school teacher mentality, sit down, shut up, pay up and repeat after me, has been ever present in Irish society since the foundation of this state. The Catholic Church, the politicians and the national media's condescending, supercilious attitude of we're the experts, we know best for you, is intolerable. I want all those people to take note. Your intolerance will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, I stand here as one of those people who was arrested in Jobstown for the John Borton protest. I'm going to keep this statement as much as I can based on the Claire Bourne show and a reporting of the arrests and those detained. On Monday the 9th of February, Paul Murphy was on the show and she indicated that he had been elected to break the law and that he had been asked by the guards while he was arrested, was that the case in the John Borton protest. Of course, Paul then turned around and explained that his statement about the arrests had nothing to do with his statement about breaking the law. That was about non-payment. She then went on and made a statement, and I'll read it exactly as she said it. She said that she had looked at the videos knowing that Paul Murphy was coming in that day and that we did falsely imprison John Borton. Not in her opinion or anything, but we actually did falsely imprison. So to me, That's trial by RTE and trial by Clareburn. Now, we'll go on then to the 23rd, I think it was. 23rd of February, when myself and some of the other arrestees were on the show. We on the day, I think we handled ourselves very, very well, but there was two people, well, before I go into those two people, at the start of the show, she turned around and talked about Mountjoy, that thousands had marched to Mountjoy, and there was tense scenes. Now, anyone that was there will know it was a carnival atmosphere from the very word go, and the scenes, there was emotional scenes as people found out that the lads were on hunger strike. There was no such thing, or any way was there tense scenes. Now, one of the people that was on the show there was a Dr. Bill Tormey. Now, Bill Tormey is a Fine Gael councillor. He's a specialist in chemical pathology and general internal medicine. He's a consultant in Beaumont and Connolly hospitals. He's a leader of the Fine Gael group of Dublin City Council. He's a member of the Economic Planning and European Affairs Committee and also the Finance Committee of Dublin City Council. He is the chairman of the HSE Forum and for Dublin and North West. Along with his degrees and his diplomas, he's also at the moment studying in the University of Ulster in Coleraine. So what I'd like to know is where the hell did he get the time to go on the show in the first place? Right? Now, just a quick little word on Bill's brother. Bill has a brother called Eugene, who was a state solicitor for North Tipperary. Since 1997, he had been previously working as a legal aid on the legal aid panel. According to his LinkedIn profile, he is a legal advisor to Garda superintendents serving in the county and also for specialist Dublin units engaged in investigations or prosecutions in the county. And I wonder, would some of those special units have been the people that were down investigating the Joan Burton incident? So we can see there's probably links going right through the whole lot. Then we'll go back to Bill. On Bill's website, he states that he is politically a liberal social democrat who sees people as individuals, not as members of particular groups. Bill's first words on the show was, what he heard from us was absolute bombastical nonsense. Now that's quite a very strange statement for a very intelligent man to make about us. I leave his interview there, right? But on his page he states that Bill is fascinated by people and interests in lifestyle and greatly values the question why. Well, Bill, can I ask you, why are the government so determined to pay an unjust and illegal, in my eyes anyway, debt that has crippled possibly future generations for years to come? Why, Bill, when we have so much unemployment, are you taking up so many bloody jobs? Right? And why were you on Clareburn's show in the first place? And of course, if we go looking at all these details, you can kind of make that out for yourself, right? Now, quite quickly, I'll just move on from Bill. There was one other chap on the show, and his name was Stephen O'Brien. Stephen is the leader of MKC Communications, political lobbying and public affairs team. He is a former journalist of Dennis O'Brien's independent media, and he was a political lobbyist for 15 years. He also wrote a book, A History of Fine Gael. Now, we have two well-paid, well-educated men sent in there to try to discredit and disgrace the protesters from Jonestown, and by God, they failed miserably. Thanks very much, people.
It's Damien Moyles.
Good afternoon, and thanks to all the people from Dublin who organised this here today. I've been going to these protests for a while, and we're here at RTE. So the question is, why am I here? The reason I'm here is because RTE have not focused in on the real issue at hand. This is really a class struggle. People in the upper middle class have no objection to paying water charges. But this really is a class struggle, and that hasn't been focused in on. So when RTE wonder why people are protesting, well, one of the things they don't highlight is that the cap automatically expires in December 2018. On the 1st of January 2019, the default rate of 370 will be implemented automatically, and according to the Netherlands Institute of Budgeting, who've surveyed 4 municipal water companies in the country, each person uses 45 cubic meters a year. It's 45,000 litres. So it's 370, it's 45, that's €166 a year per person. For a family of 4, you're looking at €660 per year. That is the reason I'm here. That is the reason that a lot of the people are protesting. And I am very, very, well, unfortunately not surprised. But RTE need to focus in on those issues and talk about why the people are really protesting. Thank you very much.
How you doing? It's great to see such a big crowd came along, and this should only be the start. We need to take on RTE on their agenda. I have a few words to say here. Ireland is run by the 1%, for the 1%, the super rich investors and corporations. That's how it is, and that's how they want it to stay. Now they might have all the wealth and the power, but they're tiny in number, and they know that, and they're afraid. And they should be afraid. They know that if people find out what's really going on, they rise up and they get swept away. Now that's happened before, and it's going to happen again. So they need to control the public media, so they can control how the information that people get and how they think. They need to be in control. They need to make sure that nobody that challenges the agenda of the 1% gets treated seriously. Now we all know that the political parties in this country have been bought and paid for years ago and will do whatever these people want. So the 1% can own RTE because they own the politicians who appoint the RTE board. Now people aren't appointed to this board for nothing. It's a reward for services rendered. Everyone on that board will be the creature of some gombeen or other. They didn't get there where they are for nothing. They're not stupid. They know what's expected of them. And what's expected of them is that they look after the interests of the political hack who appointed them. The quality that ensures promotion in an organisation like the RTE is loyalty. Not loyalty to the truth or honesty or to justice. No. Loyalty to the boss. Loyalty to the values of the sleazy gangsters who run the state. And for those who fall into line with that, there's rich rewards, huge salaries and bonuses, 500 grand for Ryan, 300 for Marion, and a talk to Joe will only set you back 300 grand. Everybody gets a piece of the pie. Now let's just talk a bit about these salaries. £400,000 per year is not a salary, it's a bribe. It's a message. It's a message from the Golden Circle, the mafia in Chavez suits. Welcome to the club. You made it. You made it. We looked after you. You look after us. We look after our own, and don't let us down. These people can end up spending more on lunch than the entire weekly income of an unemployed young person. And they are supposed to be a public service broadcaster. It's supposed to be their job to hold the wealthy elite to account. And what I'm saying here today is, how can they? They are the wealthy elite. Sorry for reading from the notes, this is my first time that I was speaking. Now God has said that if you tell a lie, tell a big lie. Keep repeating it, the people will eventually come to believe it. Now RTE know that better than anyone else. So our most important job is to spin out the distortions and the lies, the smooth lies, and keep spinning them from 8 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock at night. They keep repeating them year after year till it's all people get to hear. Soon the lies become truth. And what's the plan? To keep us divided, keep us in the dark, and keep us afraid. Well, we're not afraid anymore. I just want to talk about one big lie they tell, because they never stop telling it. The message sent out from RTE every day is that big business is the salt of the earth. And to make us all richer, we need to make these people richer, and richer, and richer. Nothing has to be done to discourage them. They must be taxed little, and one tax break after another should be given to them until they pay no tax at all. Then the perverse logic goes, some money might fall back to us.
Now, what they say is it's a good idea to hand over our oil wealth, our gas, our lottery, pay billions and billions to pay off their debts. The looting of these corporate gangsters will never stop until we rise up and make it stop. Soon if we get in the way, we will not be able to get a drink of water without making a payoff to the Irish water racket for health insurance corporations. The so-called public service broadcasters now to you accept all this without question or criticism. They know which side their bread is buttered on. After all, he who pays the piper calls the tune. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank the organisers specifically for organising this fantastic weather, because after 4 weeks of chasing around the water meter men and resisting the installations in Rialto in the freezing cold, I can tell you it's very nice to be having our festival of oppression with a bit of sunshine raining down on us. Well, friends and comrades, last week, I don't know if you saw it as well in the media, the so-called media, we saw a report that of the 100 richest people in the world that are listed on the Forbes list, there's not one, not two, not three, not four, but this tiny little island of Ireland has produced 5 of the world's richest 100 billionaires. And we know one of those only too well, Dennis O'Brien, who's worth a disgusting and an obscene €6.8 billion. And attached to the article reporting about the Forbes richest, let me read you out some of the media interests that we know that Dennis O'Brien owns. And this is only a small section. The Irish Independent, the Sunday Independent, the Sunday World, 50% of the Irish Daily Star, the Bray People, the Carlow People, the Drogheda Independent, the Enniscorthy Guardian, the Kerry Man, the Europe Standard, the Argus, the Cork Man, the Sligo Champion, and that's just his newspaper interest, and that isn't even the full list. And then we get down to his Ireland interest, and we have his radio interest. I mean, we have Today FM, 98 FM, News Talk, Spin 103. I mean, it's no surprise when you hear of the monopoly that one person has on the Irish media, the private media market. It's no surprise that those stations and those newspapers are just pushing out the propaganda of the establishment. But what's really, really disgusting and really shocking is that this establishment here, which is paid for by taxpayers' money, people in there like Pat Kenny when he works there, Ron Tuberty, we all know that they get paid hundreds and thousands of euros of taxpayers' money to just peddle out the propaganda of this government. And here's a little history of how, during the Celtic Tiger, the so-called years when everybody was doing well, this establishment here tried to suppress and quell all the voices that were saying that there was something inherently wrong in the so-called Celtic Tiger. That in the years that so many were making millions and millions of euros, that inequality in this country was increasing. And when anyone spoke out against the property boom, those voices were quelled. And this very same institution then heralded in the years that we saw of the bailout, trying to make it sound like it was the normal thing to do, was to pay a bailout, pay a bank fine that wasn't ours. They made it sound like it was a normal thing to do to have austerity put on the people. And again, any voices that spoke out against that were quelled. And during the household charges campaign, the voices of the people that were opposed to the household charges were ignored by this very institution. Ignored! And it was only the voices of those that were trying to push through the household charges and their cronies, they were the only voices that were heard. And here we see it again, in the biggest movement of resistance that we have ever seen in this country. And the voices of that resistance, again, they tried to silence those voices. And they collude with the private media like Dennis O'Brien's media. They collude to push one single agenda on us, and that is the agenda of the establishment. An establishment that colludes with corrupt politicians, with the media, with the judiciary, with the police, all of them together trying to shove their agenda onto the people of Ireland. And we have spoken loud and clear, we do not accept their agenda. They have tried to smear us, they have tried to discredit us, they have tried to make fun and poke fun at people who are getting arrested, dragged from their houses at 7 o'clock in the morning. Myself was part of a smear campaign there a few weeks ago because they fabricated a story about overusing council photocopying facilities to print water charges leaflets. And what they didn't like wasn't the fact that I was using the council facilities. What they didn't like the fact that I was using council facilities as an elected representative, carrying out the mandate of the people who elected me to give information and the truth about the water charges campaign. That was the problem that they had. I'm just sorry now that when I had the chance I didn't print twice the amount of the 50,000 leaflets that I did. What really sickened me the most was in the week that the 4 people went to jail for doing nothing but standing along with other people in their country, standing up for our rights and our human rights and trying to create a better society for the children and for our future. What really disgusted me was that week the main broadsheet newspapers on that Sunday did not carry a single word about the jailed protesters. Not a single story about 4 people losing their liberty and losing. So what I'd like to say today to RTE is, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you use taxpayers' money to push the propaganda of the establishment? How dare you discredit us? How dare you try to silence us? And how dare you continue with the same agenda as the establishment? We have our agenda, friends. We have our agenda, and we have our media, and we have our voice. And it's up to all of us here today to continue to use the social media that we have at our disposal to go back into our communities and to build the biggest protest that this movement has ever seen on the 21st of March. We need hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of Dublin on the 21st of March to give not them the clear message, because they know our message. It's to give everybody who's been involved in this campaign the confidence that no matter what they say, no matter what they try to do to us, no matter how many times they try to arrest us, no matter how many more of us they try to jail, we are not going away. And I hope that this campaign and this movement of resistance continues long after the water charges. That's our agenda now, is to abolish Irish water and to get rid of this government. But I hope that our agenda continues long into the future, and that someday this government and this institution will be run for the people, by the people. Thank you.
How's it going, everyone? Obviously you can tell of a massive cabin accent, but I don't. I just want to remind everybody why this has all started in the last couple of years. I'm going to read out a couple of these, you might remember them. IMF, bank bailouts, paying the bondholders when we should have bought them, household charge, property tax, tax increases, pension stolen from old people, medical cards stolen from everyone, unemployment, job bridge, working poor, emigration, social welfare cuts, rent allowance cuts, single parent payment cut, negative equity on family homes, family home evictions, Irish water, John Terry, Dennis O'Brien, Emma Kenny, Joan Burton, no media coverage or any coverage that didn't paint us in negative light. Any coverage we got, it took 100,000 people on the streets of Dublin till we got some coverage. Our protests have always remained that we will always be peaceful. We have people removed from their homes for trapping John Burton for 2 hours. We have people arrested. I just want to tell you a story of stuff that RTE don't cover. About 2 months ago I was driving through a place called Trim in Meath. I seen an old man in the lashings of rain standing on the side of the road. He was about 80. So I picked him up to give him a lift home. He lived 3 miles down the road. On the way down he told me he was only out to collect a prescription that he had to pay for because he had no medical cards. That was a Tuesday. He was going home to get into bed till Friday till he collected his pension because he couldn't afford to buy coal and heat himself and feed himself. This is what's going on in this country. RTE don't show this. RTE don't go down to soup kitchens in the morning and see families there for breakfast, lunch and fucking dinner. RTE also don't highlight the fact that the number of food banks that have opened up in this country is unbelievable. I live in Ballyjames, Duffin, Cavan. We've recently just started opening a food bank because all the pages there have been requested from families who can't feed the families. We have kids going hungry every day, going to school hungry. Parents are going hungry to pay more bills. They want us to pay for water that we already pay for. Are you having a fucking laugh? Seriously? RTE, turn or shush. Paint us in a negative light. Don't report the news as he should. If RTE reported what's going on in this country, there wouldn't only be the 100 or 150,000 marches in Dublin. There'd be millions of us. Nobody would be sitting at home, but nobody knows. Over social media, there'd be nothing that goes on here, or anywhere. Nobody would know. the amount of groups there is, there's only a certain amount of people that can free up enough time to knock on every single door. So without social media, we'd be lost. If our national media service that are paid by us, that waste our money, if they covered what we had, we'd be unstoppable power. RTE, in the past couple of months, have gone out and bought all their self. They spent money on 600 new smartphones, over 300,000 on designer suits. We pay for the RTE orchestra. Has anybody here ever gone to see the orchestra? Because I haven't. If I pay for them, I want them to play in my house, in my garden. Oh, you can join, yeah. So everyone knows, I'm sure everyone knows, in this day and age, it's a luxury to be able to pay a bill. A lot of us are only one bill away from being thrown out of our home. I went to evictions order in Cavan the other day. There were 60 houses up for repossession. That's not reported. They always say, oh, there's repossessions on today, it's all the people who have 2 or 3 homes, but it's bollocks. Just so everyone knows, like, we're keeping the push on. We're getting more and more media coverage from outside of this country than we are in it. That shows something. You know? So, even though we're ignored by the people that we pay, people from outside the country and all over the world are watching us. So every time you go to a protest, fly your flag you want to take off you, because it's yours. People have fought for us to use it. Make use of it. Everybody get one. Every protest you go to, hang one on your door. It's ours. Use it. Let them know who you are and that we won't stand for any more lies. Thank you.
I'm going to hand you over to Siobhan Walsh, who has a message from Derek Bowen. Thank you.
I have a couple of messages. RTE representing the elite, but it shouldn't be. RTE is funded mainly by us, the taxpayers. It is also draws funding from advertising. TV3 and all other media outlets don't get the luxury getting this sort of funding, just like we don't get the choice if we want to fund RTE. I don't watch RTE. I pay UPC £90 a month so I can watch whatever I want. I have had the misfortune of having to watch RTE while I am currently incarcerated in Wheatfield Prison. It is painful to watch, and when watching shows like Primetime and RTE News, the level of media bias becomes clear. It is quite clear the political appointments running the station are pro-government and are adopting the government side of reporting the news and the facts. RTE is supposed to be public service broadcasting, but instead it is nothing more than a government propaganda machine, consistently used to scare the public into following the government line. Over 217 people a year are jailed because they failed to buy a TV license. RTE has been making criminals out of ordinary people every year while it pays lavish salaries on its workforce. This misuse of public money is a shock in the face to families who struggle to get by and who are forced to buy a TV license. The most recent addition, Ray Darcy, rumoured to be earning $500,000. RTE needs to survive on advertising revenues, and if it can't survive, it should be sold or wound up, or better yet, turned into a subscription service. Then let those that want to watch it pay for it. People should consider a boycott of RTE license, but they are so done. Now this is from Derek as well. First of all, I want to thank the many people who took the time to write to myself, Ollie and Damo. Your words of support mean a lot and are great for boosting morale. As someone who has never been in prison before and is away from family and friends, these letters are great for showing we are not alone in our struggle for a better Ireland. One that is free from greed, self-serving politicians and Ireland, where the focus is on the people's future and not the profits of large multinational companies that use our country as a tax haven. We have limited access to the media, and what media we do have, as you would guess, carries little or no coverage of the various protests taking place nationwide. I rely on a 3-minute phone call each day to my girlfriend, Siobhan, to fill me in. All I can say to you is thanks. I can never repay the support you have given us, and most likely will never get to meet you all, but your support is appreciated. I received a lot of letters calling me a hero. I am not a hero. I am just doing my duty as a citizen of this country and as a father. It is my duty as a father to ensure that my children and every child in this country has a future that was gambled away by bankers and politicians. Yes, you can guess right. The government has yet again failed to break my resolve. I will not be backing down today, tomorrow, or any other day. I will stop when we as a united people finally put an end to the greed and corruption of our politicians. I had the misfortune of catching the end of Enda Kenny's speech at the Fine Gael Ardesh. Michael Collins must be turning in his grave. I watched the Labour Ardesh, and the only bit of life in that was the courageous citizens outside in the bad weather, reminding them of their treachery. The thing about both parties, Ardesh, is why are still relying on the same old mantra of buying votes. If you vote for us, we will do this and we will do that. Why haven't they already done what they are promising? Well, because like Fine Gael's 5-point plan, they are non-existent. Please do not be bought by lies and propaganda. We have the delusions of Fianna fraud to come. These parasites looked after themselves as they sold us out. Remember, the sick children who had medical cards snatched from them, cancer patients who had medical cards snatched from them, thousands forced to emigrate for a better life, many people forced to suffer on trolleys in hospital corridors, many people who took their lives because of mental health and lack of mental health and suicide programs. Thousands plus are at risk of losing their homes to the very banks we bailed out. Homeless abandoned on the streets and left to die because providing a bed wasn't as important as paying a bondholder. Workers on the front line, firefighters, nurses, teachers, Gardaí, civil servants who are forced to work more hours for less pay. The list is endless, but we have sit back for too long and allowed the government to divide and conquer and to split the people of this country. It's not the public versus...
Doing this, we do it every week. Sorry, I should have read it. The private sector, the employed versus the unemployed, union versus new union. It is about the people of Ireland versus the corrupt Irish government and their European paymasters, the EU. I ask that every man, woman and child gather in Dublin and to support the march on the 21st of March to show the power of people is greater than the people in power. I will be released 2 days beforehand and will be marching in solidarity with everyone present. I would ask the Right to Water to show solidarity with the 2 remaining political prisoners, Paul Moore and Damien O'Neill, and march past Mountjoy on the day. Remember, those out on the streets of this country in all weather conditions, contrary to media reports, did not sell this country out. They are victims of corrupt, inept and greedy self-serving politicians who put the party before the people and money before politics. The Dáil bar is only busy when important legislation is being passed, i.e. bank guarantee, abortion debate and many other important debates. Why did this country fail
full is because our politicians were having a party and expected us to pay for it. Their time is at the end, and it is up to the community leaders that live and love for this country, and you just don't give a damn. It's people to step forward. This country used to be referred as a nation of saints and scholars. Now it is the land of sinners and crooks. Let us change that. Derek Byrne. Derek wanted me to tell you all to get out and stop the meters going in. Don't stop just because he's in prison. Get out and protest against GMCO when they come into your estates. The Free the Five protest is on outside the GPO at 4 o'clock, and we're marching to Mountjoy. I have another statement to read down there, or I think Derek's mum might be reading it. So hopefully you'll all come down and support the 3 to 5 protest. Thank you.
Back to the very start of the protests, when they called Brian Dobson live on 6-1 News, called 2U protesters idiots. They never apologised properly. Then we moved on to October, when well over 100,000 people were on our streets. These guys who have an economic department can't count. They reported it as 10,000, 20,000, until they were forced into it by social media to admit there was 100,000 plus. In November there was 200,000 plus, and the BBC told us in December there was 300,000. So just to remind these guys in there, you look at the makeup of RTE, and just to let you know if you don't know already, Rory, are you listening? Rory is Simon Coveney's brother of Fine Gael, and Rory is an advisor to the Director General, and he probably advises him to lie when it talks about Irish water protesters. So that's Simon. And then we look at Miriam, and Miriam who interviews protesters. Nice little sweet Miriam, you see. Miriam's brother is a barrister, and Miriam's brother, I remember watching Miriam on prime time one night, interviewing protesters. She was interviewing them at night time, and the next morning her brother was prosecuting them in the High Court. That was what Miriam's brother was doing. So if that's not bias, she should have stepped aside. But I want to issue a few challenges. Do you know why Joe says, come and talk to Joe? I tried to talk to Joe about something a while ago, and it's out there in the media, and I've asked the guards to pay attention to this one, right? Gemma O'Doherty, an Irish independent news journalist, went to the house of Martin Callaghan, the ex-police commissioner, to talk to him about getting these penalty points squashed, right? Now I went to talk to Joe because it appeared in the Guardian newspaper in Britain, because Gemma was sacked when she did that. She was sacked by a fella called Ray, who was the editor-in-chief of Irish Independent, for having the audacity to knock on the door of Martin. I'd like to ask Joe, why will he not talk about Martin Callaghan's penalty points, who he got squashed? Why was it when the whistleblowers was made dirt off by Martin Callaghan, by the other fella, Shatter or Shit or whatever you call him, by him as well? I'd like to ask RTE, why don't he ask them questions? Rory, are you listening? I'd like to issue another challenge to them, and another challenge of questions to be asked. They had Paul Murphy on the Late Late Show, right? And we all know, as far as we're concerned, Paul Murphy was ambushed. He was ambushed on the Late Late Show by Ryan, supposedly the investigative journalist Ryan. I'd ask to Ryan, right, Paul is a politician. Paul is up there to be questioned, and that's fair enough. But I challenge RTE, if you're listening, I'm challenging you to bring Dennis O'Brien on the next week's Late Late Show. So ask Dennis O'Brien about his ownership of the media being anti-democratic. I wanted to talk to Dennis O'Brien about owning GMC Sierra, owning the meters, owning the whole fucking country. That's what he does. I want to say, RTE, listen, bring on Dennis O'Brien and ask him the hard questions. But we know they won't do that. They won't do that. They're not fair. They are biased. And until they have Dennis O'Brien, who paid a corrupt payment to a Fine Gael politician whose brother is advising the Director General of RTE, until they have Dennis O'Brien on RTE, they're just a biased station against the people, and owned by Fine Gael and Labour. Thank you.
just like to say, I came across Alan Laws on the internet, and he's well worth following. Very intelligent guy. Now, our last speaker here is...
Just like to say thanks to every single person here who funded their own experience to the adventure land of RTE. And like I say, thanks for making the effort, okay, and it's very, very much appreciated, and we've got an effective protest here, alright? So I'm just going to go along and just say a few words here, right? I was told this was a karaoke, so I'll just do the best I can, alright? Okay. We all know that the water protest is the largest mass movement the country has ever seen. This form of mass demonstration has not been seen since the lockouts of 1913. This movement is firmly opposed to the detrimental austerities imposed by a Europe who is reinforced by our own government. Our national broadcaster, RTE, has consistently failed in its ongoing coverage of our protests through biased and unfair reporting, with an intent to demoralise our protests through biased and prevent an effective means of protest. RTE have sat on the sidelines of our marches, waiting to pounce on one of us to do or say something which could be viewed in a negative manner. But I ask you, why didn't RTE highlight those insulting remarks made by a Fine Gael councillor, Noel Coonan, who in the Dáil, with reference to the water protesters and the Dublin people, stated, "We're facing what is potentially an ISIS situation." I think I might look like an ISIS here, do I? He also said, they don't care about the country people. We love the country people. And they act like parasites and live off the country people. The only parasites that I know are over there, and since 1960 they've been living off the whole nation. On social media we see numerous videos relating to the police heavy-handedness and the Irish workers harassing householders on their own private property. Several videos have gone viral, yet RTE have willfully neglected to highlight any of these occurrences. RTE, we believe, have been politically directed by this government to purposely mislead the public regarding the numbers attending marches and protests, both local and national. This evidence is highlighted through social media, and for those willing to question the veracity of what they are being fed by the National Public Service broadcaster. Pat Kenny, when asked by an audience member on his Lifeline show in 2010 as to why did RTE not report on the most incredible secret meeting ever to take place in the whole of the nation, the meeting of the Bilderberg, Kenny panicked, then began smothering the lady's request in asking why RTE had never mentioned this to the public. Kenny, as we know, got frustrated and refused to acknowledge her question. And he said, "We are not going there, we are not going there." And when she remarked further, her microphone was silenced. And we know Brian Dobson branded protesters who were wearing placards in the Dáil as background as idiots, and told the reporter, "Don't worry, we'll try to get rid of them." When a protester tried to draw attention to our cause during the Saturday night show, the host, Brendan O'Connor, roared, "Will you sit down there, you clown?" We are here today to give a clear and strong message to RTE and to this puppet government. We are not idiots. We are not clowns. And we are not parasites, and we are most definitely not ISIS, even though I may look like an ISIS terrorist. Okay. We represent the hundreds and thousands of people across the nation who are standing and who have stood up and said no to water charges, no to austerity, no to the Garda being deployed as a private security firm by Dennis Lovely O'Brien. And no, as we'll all agree, to our most valuable resource, our children, having to leave our shores. I'd just like to finish here and just say, our marches will continue to grow in numbers and in strength. As we see today, the last march here, there was 3 people, and it was one of them, okay? They have said, we are going to, they have said they are going to reclaim our flag. But we say to them, we are going to reclaim the nation. In the words of Charles Stewart Parnell, no man shall have the right to fix the boundary to the march of a nation. Thank you.
Folks, as you probably know, just have to be asked there is a page going out for everybody that wants to go in and have a look. It's boycott the RTE licence. So if you're like-minded, go in and like that page and we might be able to start something up on that. In relation to the second part of our protest today, we're doing a motorcade into O'Connell Street GPO, right? So if everybody could go out onto the motorway, we'll have a few stewards' cars at the front, we'll lead the way, we're going to be slow driving about approximately 30 kilometres an hour, straight into O'Connell Street. When we get to O'Connell Street, there's a protest march starting there at 4 o'clock for the 3 to 5, it's a candlelit vigil, up to Mountjoy. We have been told that we can pull into the bus lane up on O'Connell Street, leave one lane free. So when we get there, we'll probably be going to be early. So when you're there, get out of your car, make a bit of noise, don't wander off, be ready to go as soon as everyone is ready to go, please. So we'll be leaving there, we'll be leaving the GPO for 4 o'clock. We will then convoy again up to the Mountjoy, and there is loads and loads of parking in and around Mountjoy and the Mater Hospital. So anyone that's going on the motorcade, onto the main road, get into the bus lane, and we'll be out with you in the next few minutes, and we'll start the drive-through.
But we know better, just to look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. Come on! We're gonna do it anyway. There's something inside so strong.
We spent half of it. We won't pay! We won't pay!
Big cheer there for those folks.
So everybody knows that the media, the establishment media, the government, Fine Gael, Labour, they're all saying repeatedly that our movement is diminishing, that it's getting smaller and smaller, that people are registering and that people are going to pay. But actions speak a lot louder than words. And their actions in the past month show that they don't believe that at all. Their jailing of Derek, of Bernie, of Ali and of Damien shows that they're scared of our movement. Their arrests of 23 people in Tala, the reports that the Gardaí will be recommending prosecutions against those people show that they're scared. But also this week, it might have gone unnoticed, but they extended the registration deadline again. And so there was a third deadline at the start of April, or the start of February, I think. And Elaine Higgins, the senator for the Labour Party, who's wheeled out to defend every bad thing the government does, she was on and saying, no, it was never meant to be a drop-dead deadline. And all of a sudden, Alan Kelly said the third deadline was simply an administrative deadline. So they've extended the deadline again. And that doesn't speak to any confidence whatsoever in people going to register, people going to pay. Again, it speaks to their fear. And the other thing this week that happened is that the CSO said that they're not going to do the Eurostat test for whether Irish water qualifies as being off balance sheet. They're not going to do that until at least sometime in June. And again, it's because they're scared. And so we should draw confidence from all their fear, and we should draw the lesson that we're still winning. That's why they're moving against us in the way they're doing. It's why we need to have the political response that we've had in terms of the protests, in terms of the solidarity with those in prison. It's why we need to continue to defy unjust laws, to break unjust injunctions, and it's most importantly why we have to prepare for a massive boycott of the bills. That's what this is going to come down to. We need a massive protest on the 21st of March to show that we haven't diminished, to show we're not going away, but above all to give people confidence, to join in the boycott. The key time in this campaign is now a month away, and it's going to go on for 2 months, and it's the time when the bills come out. And they'll be out at people, huge propaganda, huge scaremongering to try to convince the so-called middle ground to pay. And our most important job is to convince those people not to pay. And we have an extremely strong argument now, especially with the delay in registration. You would be absolutely mad to pay. There are no consequences for non-payment until July of 2016. No penalties whatsoever. So if you pay, you're handing over your money for free, for no benefit at all. People should stick with the boycott. Even if they feel a little bit nervous, the rational thing to do is not to pay the first bill and to see what happens. And so we have to organise the non-payers to go out and give those messages to people broadly. That's going to be our revenge. Massive non-payment, which will sink Irish water and can threaten to bring down the government itself. That's the key weapon that we now have, and we know what that leads to. We know the political crisis it leads for all of the austerity policies. We know the political crisis that it leads for all of the establishment parties, and we know the political opportunities it creates for the building of a significant radical left in this country, committed to breaking austerity, committed to breaking the rules of the EU, of the euro, of those things that constrain our ability to say that people's needs should come first before the interests of profit. The last thing, I want to leave you with a joke that someone who works in a dole told me this week. What does Irish water and a puffin have in common? They can both shut their bills up their house.
It was a very successful day from all accounts anyway. We had a great day. I think in what was organised today with the many groups that were involved, I came from Cavan, there's people here from Longford and people from everywhere. I think it just shows the unity in all the causes, not just water charges, austerity, everything. And the fact that this country is amazing for pulling together from people from all angles. The best thing the government ever did is create Irish water. It's the best thing they ever happened, because look at us now. We are the strongest country in Europe for people uniting on a daily basis. And this is only going to get better and better. When we stand here today, there's people locked up for doing what we're doing. We're stopping meters going in. But that's what we're here for. We're going to stand and we're going to make the government listen to us. We're going to make the authorities listen to us. They will not lock up anyone. Anybody arrested in Tala, if they get locked up, there'll be thousands on the streets on a daily or a weekly basis. But what I think from what we've done today, we basically took up the whole of the south side, all the way across on the north side. Something like that with cars, with people, that should happen on a weekly basis. We need to know, weekly, daily. If it takes me now 24/7, we should organise groups around the country to come to places like this, places where the government will see us. They can't push us under the carpet. RTE have made it here today. Don't time to bloody woke up, because we've done a lot for ages. So what this shows, we have had more media coverage from foreign countries than we have from our national media. But guess what? RTE have to wake up. We stood outside there, we gave speeches, they could not ignore us. But I'll take it to their door on a daily basis if they have to, and I'm sure there'll be plenty here that will join us. But this is just a start of RTE. We won't stop until our prisoners are freed, until you wake up and listen to us. Thanks very much.
John Lyons, can we get you up next? Give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today to support yourselves and the lads that are in jail, Bernie, Derek, Damien and Ali. And I'm delighted to be here to support you and to support the jail protesters and to bring the support of the anti-water charges protesters in Tipperary to you here in Dublin, and to say a big support and a big thank you for the work you've done over the last number of months, 6 or 7 months. Like yourselves, we've been fighting Irish water on the streets in Tipperary, and we've driven them out of Clonmel and Carrick-on-Show over that time, and we're fighting them in all the towns around Tipperary. And thank you for the leadership you've given in relation to that. Now, I want to thank Bernie and Damien and Derek and Ali for standing up for us, for standing up for their families, for standing up for their communities, and for standing up for all the anti-water protesters right throughout the country, and standing up for all the ordinary families who are under pressure with austerity right throughout the country. They follow in a long line of proud people who have been jailed by governments down the years. They've been jailed, as I said, for opposing unjust laws and unfair taxes. And as I said, in a tradition that goes back as far as Jim Larkin jailed for standing up to employers, goes back to James Connolly, jailed and executed by British authorities. And definitely they've given great leadership to the anti-water charges movement right around the country. And of course, the state has always stood up for big business and the rich and powerful in our societies, and have opposed ordinary people. And that's what's happening here again. You've seen the contrast in how bankers have been dealt with and how the protesters have been dealt with. The protesters are jailed and they've done raids to arrest them. But bankers are chauffeur-driven by invitation to their local gas station, and then they're left off scot-free. That's what this government is doing, supporting the rich and powerful in society. But what we need to do now is to stand up and be counted and to continue the protest. To be sure, these water charges can be beaten, Irish water can be beaten, they will be beaten. And as Jim Larkin said, the great are only great because we're on our knees. But I can tell you that the Irish people are getting up off their knees, and people power will defeat these charges, and people power will clear this government of the Labour Party and Fine Gael out of government forever. For me and all this.
Thank you very much. We have John Lyons from the People Before Profit. Folks, just to say, on Monday evening we had a motion on Dublin City Council. Councillor Brady Smith from Ballyfermot tabled it, which was to demand the immediate release of the four, Bernie, Derek, Ollie and Damo. And I think it was very instructive to see how Labour and Fine Gael, the councillors, reacted. They couldn't get it into their heads. When I read page 29 of the Labour manifesto, which said that the Labour Party stands opposed to the introduction of water charges. That was that manifesto from 2011, and that what people were doing was holding their politicians to account by fighting them on the water charges.
They couldn't get into their heads that people were engaging in levels of civil disobedience. They were fulminating, they called us fascists. Dermot Lacey, the leader of the Labour Party, actually called us fascists. They couldn't get it into their heads that people were fighting back, and were kept on fighting back, and were willing, and fair play to Derek, because I've gotten to know him the last couple of years, and he always never says he's doing it for his children, for his children's future. They can't get it into their heads that people haven't been cowed. We're not being frightened by the guards, we're not being frightened by the smears in the newspapers, we're not being frightened by the courts. They can't get that into their heads, right? And that we haven't somehow all retreated back into their living rooms. Because the important point is, we are going to win this. We are. That's what's going to happen. It's plain as day. There's still 750,000 people haven't returned their packs. That's after 3 deadlines, the last of which wasn't, according to the Labour Party Centre, a drop-dead deadline. And as Paul says, now we have till the end of the year to return the pack, right? They've given us all the concessions that they can possibly give us without actually scrapping the water charges. We went from the most expensive charges in Europe to temporarily, anyway, the cheapest. And it still hasn't worked. 80,000 people came out in a wet or cold Wednesday on the 10th of December to say, we don't care about your concessions, we want the abolition of the water charges. So what are they doing? They've no more carrots to offer us, so they're coming at us with the stick. They've lost the argument on the water charges. They've lost it for the last 6 months. People have spoken very clearly. We know that the fairest, most equitable way to pay for our water is through central taxation, because nobody's access to water should be dependent upon how much money they have in their purse, how much money they have in their bank account. How dare they try to commodify and introduce hugely regressive water charges, which will mean that the billionaire like Dennis O'Brien will pay the same amount in water, per 1,000 litre of water, as a state pensioner in Donegal, Kilbarrack and elsewhere. It's a shameful situation, and that's why you have seen the emergence of the biggest mass movement since the revolutionary period of 1916 to 1922. That's what we're in the midst of, folks. And what I have to say, when I was seconding the motion on Monday, was that the sheer disbelief to actually believe the 4 people that have gotten to know over the last year are actually behind bars. Like, to actually stop and think about it, that Derek, Bernie, Dale O'Malley are actually serving time in prison. It's absolutely unbelievable. For contempt of a court order which is highly dubious in its constitutionality, to actually ban effective peaceful protest by granting a 20-metre exclusion zone. To actually think about that, I actually don't, it is disbelieving, and it's pretty shocking, but I actually think we have gone past that point. The best response that we can have to them jailing 4 of our water church comrades is to get organised. It's to be organised in every community right across this country. Because the one thing that they can't stand, and the one thing that obviously in their reaction on Monday was just the latest confirmation of it, they just really can't tolerate, is ordinary people getting organised and fighting back. They can't stand it. They believe that politics is only for people in the professions, the barristers, the lawyers, the whatnot. They don't like us. They don't like when ordinary people get elected into the council or into the Dáil. They hate it because it's a little club that they have at the top. The middle classes and the upper class in this country think they have it sewn up. And when we try to fight back, and it's through the water charges that we are fighting back, when we try to, they are coming at us. They are coming at us hard. But what we have is, we have empathy and we have solidarity. That's what we have. We believe in this country that an injury to the wound should be the concern of all, and that's why people are fighting back. I know for a fact some people have said to me the water charges mightn't hit me as much as they hit others, but I know for a fact it's just not right to be charging people for a basic human right and a basic necessity. And that's what we have. We have to get organised though. So on Monday, the Right to Wear campaign has produced 500,000 leaflets to advertise the next national demonstration on the 24th of March. It's 2 weeks today. So while we will hope that over the next week, those leaflets will go out into every part of this city and right across the country, so that everyone knows that the next demonstration is taking place at 1 o'clock on the 21st of March. And that way, we can boycott our non-payment campaign, because that's how we do it, through mobilisations and non-payment. And I think what we have to do over the next 2 weeks, that people can come to the United Office on Abbey Street at 4:30 on Monday. There'll be tons of leaflets, thousands of them, to go back into your communities, to give them out the shops, the post offices, the bingo halls, get talking to your friends, your neighbours, your workmates, give them a leaflet. And that way we will build up a major non-payment campaign that will, I believe, in the next 6 months, starve Irish water the funds necessary for them to function, or will cause a crisis in the government, and they will have to cause an early election. That's the potential that we have in front of us. But we have to get organised. So when we sympathise with Danny here, and with Dave's mother here, and with Damo and David's brother there, and Damien's family, the best response is to get organised, because that way we will frighten the living daylights out of them and turn this country into the kind of society where we do put the interests of people before profit. Thank you, people.
3 days before Damien and O'Neill went into jail, we were down on a protest in North Stand. The instructions he gave me was, if we're going to jail, just keep stopping the meters. So we take our instructions and our strength from the 4 people, our people that went inside. That's who we're going to battle away for now. They think by putting people in jail makes us weaker. It makes us stronger. Now, the second thing is that I'd like to thank the generosity of the people of Ireland, because with these buckets, you're backing the families of the people that are in jail. Last Saturday, we collected thousands of euros off ordinary people for the families. So I'd like to thank everybody here, and I'd like to thank the Finance Committee that I'm proud to be part of for supporting the families. Thank you very much.
Now we have Anne Bourne, a family friend of Derek's.
I came home from school the other day for lunch, and there was a girl in my house, and she said to me she wants to give us a JLO for that day in Jonestown. And I said to her, "Oh, what are the terms of the JLO?" She says, "Well, if you accept it, you're saying you're guilty to everything that happened in Jonestown that day, like falsely imprisoning John Borton, organising the protest and everything," which is untrue. How could I get, there must have been nearly 1,000 people in Jonestown that day. How could I get them all there as quick as that? But anyways, I won't be accepting her JLO, and she can shove that up her arse with her water bill as well. So, and if John Borton does come back to Jonestown tomorrow, which I highly doubt, so she'll have to bring the army or the yo-yo with her, but I'm sure everyone will be there in big numbers, and we just need to keep pushing this campaign and keep pushing the 21st December, get the numbers on the street, and get this government down. And when they're down, we'll give them an extra fucking kick to keep them down.
Say what?
It's you people out there that make me proud to be Irish. There'll be nothing prouder on the day that we bring Fine Gael and the Labour government down.
Keep going. Are you there? Are you gone? Alright, that's it. He's gone.